Welcome to our references presentation presented by the Center for Career and Professional Development at Clarion University as part of our CU Professional Development Series. So let's talk a little bit about references. Why do we need them? Well, the essential point of a reference is that they are someone who can sing your praises. They can verify what you know, what you've achieved, any skill sets you may have, and the experiences that you have. They can help an employer or a scholarship committee or an internship supervisor determine if you meet the requirements and help them to make reliable selection choices. So, who makes a good reference? You really want to choose your references carefully. You want to choose someone who can comment on the knowledge you have, your skills and abilities, your achievements, and your work habits. What can they say about you that will help an employer to seal the deal that you are the best fit, or a scholarship committee that you deserve the money? Who has observed you demonstrating the skills in your profession or in the requirements for the scholarship? And who can comment on your ability to perform the job? Choosing a reference is part of the strategy because it becomes more and more important as employers and are outsourcing the reference checks with companies like Allison and Taylor, who call employers and ask them a series of questions. You really want to make sure that this person can speak very clearly on who you are, what you've achieved, and what you bring to the table. So, who might that be? There are a couple different choices when it comes to selecting a reference: a best choice, an okay choice. Obviously, we want to have the best choice, right? So this could be somebody that maybe you've had as a faculty member. You've been in their class, you've turned in assignments on time, you have participated in discussion, they have witnessed your attention to detail. Or maybe an academic advisor. You always come prepared to your meeting sessions. You're considerate of others. You ask thought-provoking questions. You ask well-thought-out questions. Or an organization advisor. You show up to meetings, you participate, you've taken on leadership roles, the same as a coach or a current or former employer. And you may not have had an internship or be student teaching yet, but those supervisors also are awesome references. And then there is the okay choice. Now, that's not to say this is a bad reference. It's just somebody who's not quite as strong as a best choice. So this might be a family member. Well, I would hope that a family member would be able to speak very highly of who you are and what you've accomplished. The same with a friend or a neighbor. And high school teachers are okay choices because they have seen your abilities in the past, but a faculty or college advisor, coaches, they are more current, and that's what makes them a best choice as opposed to an okay choice. So depending on where you're at in your collegiate career might determine the high school teacher counselor versus the collegiate faculty advisor, a professor that you've had in class. So this is really important to think about when you start selecting references. So we want to have some Golden Eagle pride and ask our references appropriately. So we want to really make sure that we take some personal responsibility in delivering excellence. Discuss with this person your need for a reference. Why are you talking with them? Well, maybe you're applying for an internship and you need someone to talk to the internship selection committee about how awesome you are. So describe your reason or the position. So tell them a little bit about the internship. What are they looking for? What do you need to have? What are the basic skills? If you have a copy of the position description, print it out and give it to them or email it via attachment. You want to make sure that they have a tool so that they can actually look at this and know what to talk about. And then you want to make sure that they're comfortable or able to serve as a reference. Depending on when you are conducting your internship search or your job search or applying for the scholarship, that reference may be at a conference, or maybe they travel during the summer, or perhaps they just don't know that they can speak on your absolute best. Sometimes I know a person might be asked to be serving as a reference, but they might think, I would absolutely love to talk about how awesome you are, but did you talk to so and so because they are really an expert in this field, and they would really know the jargon to use, and they would really be able to connect it to your experiences. And it might be somebody that you didn't think about asking, but because you know this person, they can direct you. So it doesn't always mean they're not comfortable, but maybe sometimes they think there might be a better reference. Sometimes you might be asked to provide a reference letter, and there are two types of reference letters. There's a general reference letter that would just be able to apply to anybody and anything, that talks about how great you are and all the skills and achievements and education you have. And then there is the very specific reference letter. So for example, maybe you really want this internship with UPMC and you think this is just the best internship opportunity. So you go to your reference and you say, look, Dr. Jones, this internship is just my dream internship, and I would really, really love this internship. And I've worked really hard to get good grades, and I've done these specific projects, and I've been involved in this organization and that organization, and I've taken on this leadership, and I would love this internship. And I learned from talking with their recruiter at the job fair that they really look at the reference letter. It's really important. And I was wondering if you would be able to write a specific letter of reference for me for the UPMC internship program. And that means that it's going to take a little bit more time, and they need some really specific information. So you need to make sure that you provide them with your resume, that you give them some bullet points that you know specifically are going to apply to that internship or that scholarship, and then give them time to write it. You want to give at least 2 or 3 weeks, because it's going to take some time to put a draft together. And you want to be respectful and courteous of their time. So when they provide this reference for you, be it a letter or be just that they are called by an employer or a scholarship committee to be asked about you, you want to write a thank you note to them. Now, I say a thank you note because there is something pretty awesome about receiving a handwritten note in the mail. And if you've not yet received that, I hope you do someday. But it says a lot about the person's character that they sat down took the effort to find a writing utensil and a card and an envelope, and they hand wrote a note. It doesn't have to be 10 pages long. It could be simply, Dr. Jones, thank you so much for serving as a reference for me. I appreciate your time. I wanted to let you know that I was selected to be interviewed by the intern committee. And that gives them an idea of where you are in this search. And it shows them that you appreciate the time and effort that they took on your behalf. That's really important when it comes to networking, when it comes to building relationships and establishing trust with individuals. Please and thank you go a very long way in that relationship building process. It also helps them to know, oh, Jane was interviewed by UPMC. I wonder if she got the internship. Or Jane was really great. I would love to serve as a reference for her again. She was really kind and polite. And it says a lot about your character. And that's something that no one can take away from you. And when they serve as a reference for you again, they will definitely remember that. So let's talk about a list of references, because there is definitely different than a letter. And sometimes you may just be asked to submit 3 to 5 references. And that's what this is, a reference list. It is not part of your resume. It is definitely a separate document. It accompanies your resume or application packet. And you want to include some pretty specific information about your reference. Obviously, you need their name. You need to include how you know this individual. Maybe it's a professor, an advisor, a coach, a supervisor, their title. How do you know this person? What organization are they a part of? You may want to consider including a work address, but definitely a phone number and email. If they're going to be calling or emailing them, they need the tools to do that. So you have to provide that. And definitely ask your reference, by what manner would you prefer to be contacted? At what number? Especially if it's a faculty member, they may be at home for the summer, so they may not be receiving phone calls if you have them calling their office number, or they may be traveling, so if you call their home number, it won't get there. So that's why it's really important to communicate where you are in that process, and that you ask the reference what manner they would like to be contacted. So what might the list look like? It's going to simply look like this. It's very simple. So some things to keep in mind when it comes to your reference list is you want to make sure that's always current and up to date. I know in my job search at one point, one of my references was taking a leave of absence and was in a different state, and they were not available by telephone, only by email. So you could simply state, Ms. Lewis is only available via email due to traveling for professional reasons or whatever. And that way they are not looking for a telephone number, and it doesn't appear as though you forgot to include one. And you also want to make sure that your contact information for the references is up to date. So you can obviously follow up with your thank you, but you don't want to be saying that somebody is associated with XYZ company when perhaps they've moved on, they've transferred, they no longer work there, and then they're called for a reference check and the company says, yeah, that person hasn't worked here in 6 months. It looks like you're out of touch with your references. So it's really crucial that you make sure you have up-to-date information, as it's very common for people to change jobs, change positions, change titles, change companies. It's something that you want to make sure that you stay in touch with. LinkedIn will definitely help you to do that. So your header here for the references sheet should match your resume. Obviously, your resume is not going to say references for, it's just going to have your name at the top, but this indicates that it's your references page, your email, your phone number. Very simple, very easy. And you can see here how we have the reference's name, job title, their email, their phone number, and how do you know this person? And what are they going to talk to me about? Well, Dr. Smith is able to speak on my ability to turn assignments in on time, class attendance and participation, and my involvement in the Society for the Advancement of Management. Cool. I know what I can talk to him about when I call him on your behalf. The same with Kelly Ryan. Ms. Ryan is able to speak on my involvement with the Freshman Leadership Challenge and ability to work well as part of a team. And this looks like a former supervisor. Ms. James is able to speak on my reliability, attention to detail, and strong communication skills. There is no doubt in my mind what I can talk with these individuals about when I call them for a reference on your behalf. This is just a snapshot of references when it comes to the job or internship search or scholarship search. This is something that you will need to continue to build upon. If you have additional questions or just want to talk with us in more detail about references, you can call us at 393-2323 or send us an email, careers@clarion.edu, or drop a line in the discussion board and we can respond to you there as well. You can stop in and see us in our facility in the 4th floor of Becht Hall or in Still Hall. You can find us there at any time too. We look forward to hearing from you and wish you the best of luck at securing your references.